We've all seen it. The arguments, the tears, the ultimatums. 4 seasons, 1 object has dominated the narrative. A simple piece of hewware that became the symbol of a relationship's deepest insecurities. Gino Palazzolo's hat. We saw Jasmine beg, plead, and demand that he take it off. We saw producers at the tell-alls probe and press him, trying to get to the bottom of it. We've seen the online forums explode with theories. A bad hair transplant, a strange birthmark, a simple crippling vanity over his baldness. We watched and we judged, comfortable in our assumptions. We thought it was a personal drama, a quirky footnote in the wild world of Fiancé. But we were all wrong. The truth isn't just under Gino's hat. It's a key to a secret that spans generations, a conspiracy hidden in plain sight. What you're about to hear isn't just a theory. It's a story pieced together from a trail of evidence that leads to a place far darker than anyone could have imagined. The story we've been sold as a lie. If you want to uncover the truth that's been hidden from all of us, the real story behind one of reality television's greatest enigmas, then you're in the right place. Make sure you click that subscribe button, hit the like, and ring the notification bell. Because here at the Tell All Tapes, we are about to pull back the curtain on the secret society of Gino. It all started not on a television set, but with a digital breadcrumb, a file that appeared fleetingly on a secure server before being scrubbed. A leaked document. Our sources, who must remain anonymous for their own safety, managed to secure a copy. It wasn't a scandalous text message or a revealing photo. It was an invoice dated 6 months ago from a firm in Panama City called ITHMA Sentinel Investigations. The client was listed simply as J. Pineda. The services rendered were described in cold professional terms. Subject: Surveillance Level 3 Target Gino Palazzolo. The invoice detailed a full week of around-clock monitoring, complete with itemized charges for GPS tracking, long-range photography, and electronic data acquisition. The total was staggering. This was not the work of someone simply trying to catch a cheating partner. This was an operation. And while the invoice was the spark, what followed was the explosion. We have obtained what we believe to be the private investigator's full confidential report. And what it contains rewrites everything we thought we knew about the awkward man from Michigan. The report begins, as you might expect, with the mundane. The PI, a former Panamanian intelligence officer, chronicles Gino's daily routine with meticulous, almost boring detail. We see Gino leaving his modest suburban home at a.m. We see him driving his silver sedan to a nondescript office building, the supposed location of his automotive engineering job. He works from a.m. to p.m. He eats a packed lunch in his car. He goes to the grocery store on his way home. For the first 3 days of surveillance, the report reads like a study in suburban monotony. The PI even notes his suspicion that the client J. Pineda was wasting her money. But then on Wednesday, the pattern breaks. At p.m., instead of eating his sandwich, Gino's car pulls out of the office park. He doesn't go to a motel or a bar. He drives for minutes to the outskirts of the city to a sprawling, half-abandoned industrial park, a place of rust-cold warehouses and cracked asphalt. He pulls into the parking lot of a large windowless building with no signs, no company name, nothing to indicate its purpose. The PI watches from a distance, his long lens camera at the ready. A few minutes later, another equally plain car pulls in. A man gets out. He's middle-aged, dressed in a gray jacket, and curiously wearing a simple baseball cap. Minutes after that, a third car arrives. Another man, similar age, similar drab clothing, also wearing a hat. The PI's notes become more focused. There is no conversation. Gino gets out of his carrying a standard black briefcase. The second man gets out, also holding an identical briefcase. They approach each other, exchange the cases with a single practiced motion and nod. The third man remains by his car, a silent observer, a lookout. The entire exchange takes less than seconds. Then they all get back in their cars and leave, driving off in separate directions. The report states, the same event occurs again on Friday. Like clockwork. Same time, same location, same silent, efficient exchange. The PI's initial assessment is blunt. The subject's movements are inconsistent with a standard marital infidelity scenario. The precision, location, and lack of communication suggest a highly disciplined, clandestine operation. This is not about another woman. 4 days, this was the extent of it. Strange, but not revelatory. The PI had a pattern, but no context. He needed a mistake, a slip-up, a moment of human error. And on the following Wednesday, he got it. The meet was proceeding exactly as before. The same cars, the same men, the same hats. The briefcase exchange happened. But as the second man turned to leave, a pen slipped from his jacket pocket and clattered onto the asphalt. It was a tiny, insignificant event, but in a world of perfect discipline, it was a seismic disruption. The man sighed, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face, and bent down to retrieve it. As he did, his jacket sleeve, which had been buttoned at the wrist, rode up his forearm by a few inches. It was all the PI needed. The camera shutter clicked rapidly, capturing the image in high-resolution detail. There on the man's wrist was a tattoo. It wasn't a name or a generic tribal band. It was a complex, intricate symbol, a perfectly rendered mechanical gear, its teeth sharp and defined. Intertwined with the gear was a serpent, its scales detailed. Its tongue forked as if whispering a secret. And passing through the center of it all was an old-fashioned skeleton key. A gear, a serpent, and a key. The PI knew this was more than just body art. It was a crest, an insignia. It was the key to the entire investigation. The report includes a high-contrast blow-up of the photo, the symbol looking stark and alien against the man's skin. The PI notes that he ran the symbol through every known database of criminal organizations, corporate logos, and military units. He found nothing. But this is where the modern world of investigation diverges from the old. The PI at a dead end did what any of us would do. He leaked the symbol anonymously to a small dedicated online community of digital sleuths and historical researchers. These are the people who spend their nights digging through digitized archives, cross-referencing forgotten texts, and connecting dots that no one else sees. For hours, there was silence. Then a breakthrough. A user posting from an encrypted connection in Estonia found a match. It wasn't in a criminal database. It was in a grainy scan of a privately published book from a biography of a little-known Victorian-era inventor. In a footnote, the author mentions a secretive club the inventor belonged to, a society of forward thinkers who believed some technologies were too dangerous for mankind. The book called it The Order of Daedalus, and next to the footnote was a crude woodcutting of their crest, a gear, a serpent, and a key. The online sleuths went into a frenzy. They discovered that the Order of Daedalus was a supposed secret society founded during the height of the Industrial Revolution. Its members were not politicians or bankers, but the world's most brilliant engineers, architects, physicists, and inventors. Their mission, according to the fragmented texts they unearthed, was twofold. First, to accelerate technological progress in secret, away from the prying eyes of corporations and governments. Second, and more importantly, to act as guardians. They would identify disruptive technologies, inventions with the potential to destabilize society, start apocalyptic wars, or grant humanity power it wasn't ready for, and safeguard them. They would bury the research, hide the prototypes, and if necessary, erase the inventor from history. They were the silent gatekeepers of progress, believing they alone had the wisdom to decide what humanity was allowed to know. For over a century, most historians considered them a myth, a romantic fiction of the industrial age. But their on a man's wrist in a desolate parking lot in Michigan was proof that the order was not only real, but still active. And Gino Palladolo, the awkward giggling man from Fiancé, was a part of it. This revelation forces us to re-examine every single thing we know about Gino. It's like finding a hidden lens that brings the entire picture into a terrifying new focus. Every quirk, every oddity, every seemingly inexplicable character trait suddenly clicks into place with chilling logic. Let's start with the most obvious, his infamous frugality. We all laughed at his cheapness. We cringed when he refused to buy Jasmine new clothes, when he insisted on his worn-out sandals, when he planned a wedding on a shoestring budget. We labeled him a miser. But what if it wasn't cheap? What if it was discipline? The PIB report notes a deep dive into Gino's finances legally obtained through a Panamanian financial data request. His salary as an automotive product development engineer is substantial, well into the six figures. Yet his personal expenditures are laughably small. He lives far below his means. So where does the money go? The report uncovers a series of complex untraceable transactions. Large sums are moved monthly through a shell corporation into A trust which then disperses the funds across a dozen anonymous accounts, many of them overseas. This isn't the behavior of a cheapskate hoarding his cash. This is the calculated methodology of someone funding a clandestine organization. The order of Daedalus would require immense resources, maintaining secure facilities, funding off the books, research, acquiring rare materials, and ensuring the silence and loyalty of its members would cost millions. Gino isn't cheap. He's a soldier funneling his income to a cause he believes is more important than anything else. His personal discomfort is a necessary sacrifice. The worn-out sandals aren't a sign of poverty. They're a symbol of his unwavering commitment to the mission. He wears his frugality like a monk wears a hair shirt, a constant reminder of his duty. Then there is his social awkwardness, the strange giggle, the inability to make eye contact, the fumbling responses under pressure. We saw it as a personality flaw, a sign of low self-esteem or social anxiety. The new context paints a much darker picture. It's not a flaw. It's a symptom of the immense psychological strain of living a double life. Imagine the constant crushing weight of the secrets he carries. The order is dedicated to safeguarding technologies that could rewrite civilization. Perhaps they have the key to unlimited clean energy, a cure for aging, or a weapon that could shatter continents. Carrying even a piece of that knowledge would be a monumental burden. Every interaction, every conversation would be a minefield. A slip of the tongue could have catastrophic consequences. His awkwardness is the result of a constant state of hypervigilance. He is perpetually running threat assessment algorithms in his head. Is this person trying to extract information? Is this conversation being recorded? Can I trust them? The giggle isn't one of amusement. It's a nervous tick. A pressure valve, releasing an unbearable amount of stress. When Jasmine would grill him or the tell-all host would put him on the spot. He wasn't just fumbling for an answer about his personal life. He was actively defending state-level secrets, using his perceived social ineptitude as a form of camouflage. Who would ever suspect that the bumbling, giggling man in the hat is actually a highly disciplined guardian of world-altering technology? His entire persona is a carefully constructed work of misdirection. The perfect cover for an operative of a powerful secret society. And this brings us to one of the most intimate and ridiculed aspects of his story. The little blue pills. It was a moment of supreme embarrassment on the show, played for drama and humiliation. Jasmine's discovery of the pills confirmed for many that Gino was an aging, insecure man struggling with performance issues. It fits the simple narrative perfectly, but the private investigator's report dedicates an entire section to this, and it is perhaps the most shocking reframing of all. Following a lead, the PI conducted surveillance on the pharmacy Gino uses. He didn't just note the visit, he managed to get a source inside to pull the prescription details. The leaked document in the report is a copy of that prescription, and the drug listed is not sildenafil or any other common erectile dysfunction medication. The prescription is for a custom compounded drug, identified only by a chemical formula, and a project name nootropic compound, also referred to as Project Chimera. The PI, using his intelligence contacts, ran the formula through a pharmacological database. The results were terrifying. It is not a pill for sexual performance. It is a high-grade cognitive enhancer, a powerful nootropic of a type not available to the public, and rumored to be in experimental trials within deep state intelligence agencies. Its purpose is to radically increase memory retention, pattern recognition, and data processing speed while simultaneously reinforcing what the files call mental firewalls. The ability to compartmentalize information and resist psychological manipulation or interrogation. Members of the order aren't just guardians. They are living repositories of information. They need to be able to memorize incredibly complex schematics, encryption keys, and scientific formulas. Project Chimera allows them to do that. To turn their minds into veritable supercomputers. The so-called side effect that mimics a common ED drug is likely either a deliberately engineered chemical quirk designed to act as a cover story or a minor consequence of a drug that rewires the user's entire neurochemistry. So when Jasmine found those pills, she wasn't finding evidence of Gino's sexual insecurity. She had unwittingly stumbled upon proof of his cognitive enhancement, a tool of his trade as a secret keeper for the Order of Daedalus. The very thing everyone used to mock him was in fact evidence of his elite hidden life. The investigator, now fully convinced that Gino's home was merely a stage, a piece of his cover identity, turned his attention elsewhere. He knew that an operative like Gino would have a secure location for his most sensitive materials, a place outside his home and away from his regular haunts. The PIB report details how he managed to gain access to Gino's car while it was parked at his job. He wasn't looking for love letters or receipts. He was looking for anomalies. He spent hours sweeping the vehicle with a fine-toothed comb and he found it underneath the passenger side floor mat. The carpeting felt subtly uneven. A closer inspection revealed a hairline seam. When pressure was applied in a specific sequence, a hidden compartment popped open. The compartment itself was small, no bigger than a shoebox, and it was lined with lead. This detail is critical. Lead lining is used for one primary reason: to block radiation and electronic signals. Whatever was either dangerous or needed to be shielded from any form of remote scanning. Inside the lid box were two items. The first was a strange, palm-sized device made of a matte black material that felt cool to the touch. It had no screen, no buttons, only a single dark crystal lens on one side. The second item was a small leather-bound journal, its pages filled with neat, precise handwriting and complex diagrams. This journal was the Rosetta Stone. The PI photographed every single page. The journal, written by Gino, explains the Order's ultimate secret, their most ingenious and paranoid method of safeguarding information. For their highest level secrets, the master blueprints, they don't rely on computers which can be hacked or on paper which can be burned or stolen. They use the members themselves. High members of the order known as codices don't just protect information. They are the information. The journal describes a revolutionary technology, a process where a schematic or dataset is encoded into a bioluminescent, biointegrated ink. This ink is then tattooed onto the body of a codex member. The tattoo is invisible under normal light. It's not just ink. It's a form of living data storage woven into the very cells of the host. It can only be read by a specific device like the one found in the box, which projects a unique modulated frequency of light, causing the tattoo to glow and reveal the data it holds. The journal entry that follows is the one that changes everything. Gino writes, Phase 4 of my investiture is complete. The Daedalus prime energy schematic has been successfully imprinted. The responsibility is now mine to bear. The vessel is secure. The final pages of the journal explain the function of the hat. It is not for vanity. It is a piece of defensive technology. The fabric is interwoven with a micro-thin mesh of a metallic alloy that acts as a portable Faraday cage. It shields the scalp from specific frequencies, preventing any rival organization or government agency from using a long-range scanner to try and read the blueprint. It also contains a thermal dampening layer, which explains why Gino is so often seen sweating. The hat masks the unique thermal signature that the bioluminescent ink emits. A signature that could potentially be detected by advanced satellite imaging. Gino's scalp, the place he was so desperate to hide, holds a key piece of a revolutionary energy schematic, a technology that could end the world's reliance on fossil fuels overnight and upend the global economy. His hat is not a sign of weakness. It is a shield. It is the helmet of a guardian protecting a secret so profound that he has dedicated his entire life to being its silent, living vault. The greatest mystery of Fiancé was never about a man's bald head. It was about hiding a blueprint that could change the world, tattooed directly onto his skin. The private investigator compiled his findings into a single encrypted file. It contained every photo, every financial trace, every audio log, and the complete history and analysis of the order of Daedalus pieced together from the digital shadows. He sent this file, a veritable bomb of information, to his client in Panama. We can now only imagine through careful recreation that moment of discovery. Jasmine Pineda sitting alone in her apartment, the glow of her laptop screen illuminating her face. She opens the file, her heart likely pounding with a mixture of dread and vindication. She's expecting to see proof of what she's always suspected. Photos of Gino with another woman, intimate text messages, receipts for secret hotel rooms. The first few pages would have been a disappointment. Dry, meticulous logs of Gino's boring routine. But then she would have reached the entry for that first Wednesday, the trip to the industrial park. Her mind would have raced trying to fit this into the narrative. If she had already written, is he meeting someone there? Is it some sort of clandestine rendezvous spot? She scrolls down and sees the photo. Gino and two other men, all in hats, exchanging briefcases. The narrative in her head begins to falter. This is not the behavior of a simple cheater. This is something else. Something cold, disciplined, and strange. Then she sees it. The close-up photo of the tattoo on the other man's wrist, the gear, the serpent, the key. It would have meant nothing to her, just a strange symbol. But then she gets to the next section of the report, Appendix A, symbol analysis and historical correlation. She starts to read about the Order of Daedalus. She reads about a secret society of engineers and inventors, about safeguarding disruptive technologies, about a conspiracy stretching back through centuries, hidden behind the curtain of history. It would have sounded like a fantasy, a plot from a movie. It would have been easy to dismiss. But the PI was thorough. He had included scans of the historical texts, links to the archived research, and a detailed analysis showing how Gino's background in product development engineering made him a perfect candidate for such an organization. The seed of a terrifying new reality begins to sprout. She continues reading, her initial anger and suspicion of infidelity evaporating, replaced by a cold, creeping dread. She gets to the analysis of Gino's finances. She sees the proof of his 6F figure or salary and a complex web of shell corporations and trusts used to funnel it away. It wasn't about being too cheap to buy her a new dress. It was about funding a shadow organization. Every argument they ever had about money was a lie, a performance to maintain his cover. The shame she might have felt for pushing him, for calling him cheap would have been instantly replaced by the terrifying realization that she was arguing with a phantom, a character he was playing. Then comes the section titled Pharmaceutical Analysis.